Bob and Malcolm. Always got to remember not to open my mouth.
Can you hold this, please?
I can, man. Yeah.
So, since you have the chance to play in so many bands, release so many records,
Yeah.
what can we expect for the set list tonight?
Pardon?
Tomorrow.
Can you speak up a little bit? Does this set? Well, what I want to do on this is going to be a long tour for me. The longest tour probably I've ever done. What I want to do is go back to the start with Trapeze. You know, I want to play some Trapeze songs, and I want to play some Purple songs, and then I want to go through the rock side of Glenn Hughes. I want to go through what I consider to be a history of rock music, Black Country, and Glenn Hughes rock songs, to give the audience I have a lot of young fans that their parents turn my music onto them, so I'm trying to give everybody a little piece of Glenn from, oh, that must be from 1974, that was from 1985, something that, a history. Rather than doing a new album worth of music, I wanted to have Doug come and play some classic songs with me, some songs I haven't played in a long time. I mean a long time. It's designed for a rock show. It's not heavily into the other side of Glenn, which is the jazzy, groovy, funky stuff. I love that music. This tour is a concentrated endeavor to play rock Glenn.
Maybe some Whitesnake songs?
Maybe. Maybe.
I say that as a surprise.
You never know.
All right. And how come did you choose Doug for this?
Well, Ronnie, I've known Ronnie Dio I've known Ronnie a long, long time. So Ronnie told me years ago that he'd found a new guitar player, and I was working with an engineer who'd been working with Doug. And Ronnie talked to me about Doug, and then, I met Doug, and then I've known Doug more from David, from Whitesnake, bumping into Doug at airports and seeing Doug at conventions, and I know, you see, here's the thing about Doug, to act like he's not here. He's a really good guy, and he's a really incredible guitar player. It's really difficult to find a person, girl or guy, that is number one, really nice, and number two, really good. Okay? Ronnie told me about Doug being those two things, so it was good enough for me. So I'm really proud to have Doug by my side. Yeah.
And I'm very proud to be here by your
Yes,
side.
he is. We love him. We love him.
And you had a chance to talk about drugs a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
What would you say to those young drug bands that are taking drugs? Maybe they feel like...
When you look back at footage of the 60s and 70s and people that are no longer here because of alcohol and drugs, and I'm one of the, Ozzy's recovering, and, even Keith Richards doesn't get high anymore. It was kind of cool in the 70s to smoke a little dope and snort a little coke and drink some Jack Daniels. It was kind of cool. And then people started to fucking die, Tommy Bolan died at 25. John Bonham died at 32. Brian Jones died at 27. So it's like Jim Morrison, 27. So it starts to become a little bit sad. I remember, and no disrespect to Tommy, Tommy said, and this was really sad, really sad. He said, I want to die young and leave a good-looking corpse. And I said to him, don't say that. You can't say that, and I miss him like nobody. I miss him so much. You have to be careful what you say, because God is listening. So to all young Peruvian musicians, and also young Peruvian people out there who, it's not cool to go on stage with Jack Daniels like Slash used to do anymore and smoke dope, and because a lot of people don't come back from it. They go crazy or they die, and alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. If one person takes it, it affects your brothers, your sisters, your parents, your aunts, your uncles, and your family. It affects hundreds of people. If you would have told me 25 years ago that I was coming to Peru, being my drug of choice was cocaine, it would not have been good. I would have gone home in a body bag. So, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Sex and rock and roll is great. You throw drugs in there, it's not so attractive. It really isn't. I'm not saying it's bad, but look, I've had a heart attack. I've had open heart surgery. I almost fucking died 3 times in my life. So I'm one of the guys that you need to know that I can make music without being high. When I got sober, I was frightened. I could not make any music being sober. But it works. It works for Steven Tyler. It works for Nikki Sixx. It works for Joe Perry. And apparently it's working for Keith Richards, so it works for me.
The last time you came to Lima, you were in the Kings of Chaos?
Yeah.
Super good band?
Yes.
How come this idea came up to put all these monsters of rock together?
I was on a flight from New York to LA with Duff and Matt, and we were talking about, I wonder what it would be like if we invited this guy and this girl and this guy and we formed something bigger. You know, because we had this little side project in LA called Camp Freddy, and it was like a really kind of a cool little LA side project. So that was 3.5 years ago. And of course, 3 years ago, we were here. We bought Gene Simmons, we bought Mike Inez, and we bought Billy Duffy. And the core band was Steve Stevens, myself, Matt, Duff, and Gilby. And Joe Elliott came, all friends. And Steven Tyler came, to South Africa. So, that was a great opportunity for us to come back to South America. And we're still playing. We played in LA. We played in San Francisco. And Doug is now with us. We played in San Francisco 2 weeks ago, and we're going more shows next year. We're coming back to South America next year. I can't say when, but we're coming back to Peru, so. And Slash,
Great.
Forget Slash is with us. I mean, there's so many, so.
You released 3 records with Deep Purple.
Yeah.
Which one's your favorite, and what can you say about each one?
I did 2 with Richie and 1 with Tommy. I think Burn was probably the favorite because it was after Gillan and Glover. It was a very big moment. Can Coverdale and Hughes replace Gillan and Glover? Can that happen after Machine Head? Is that possible? And Burn was an album that did that. Burn was a top 5 album in 30, 40 countries. It was a huge thing for David and I. David had never been seen on stage until Deep Purple. So it was a really big moment for the band. I thought it was a really big thing for Blackmore, Lord and Pace to have an unknown singer come in and replace Ian Gillan, and me to help David sing. I thought it was a really great thing for Deep Purple.
What about Seven Star? I think back in the 80s it was sold legally, right? The album Seven Star.
Yeah.
Was sold illegally. How did you feel about that?
Illegally? Well, it came out legally on Warner Brothers, and then there was an album called Eighth Star. Right. Those songs were songs that I recorded with Tony and David Harlan from Priest and my band Trapeze. They were demos of songs that Tony and I were getting together to do a real album. So somehow those songs were bootlegged. Yeah. And they weren't finished. But everybody, then Tony and I mixed it. And we kind of released it. We released 10,000 copies, and it sold pretty well. Of course, it sold out. But they were like ideas that Tony and I had to do something. And then we brought Fused the next year. So Fused is more of a really majestic rock album.
Yeah. Last question. Are you working on a new solo album? How long are you going to be touring, rocking the world?
I'm going to safely say to you that I'm going to be touring now for about a year. Tomorrow is the first show. So I have been asked to make a record. I haven't done a solo album in 8 years. So after Black Country and California Breed, I'm now back to being solo really makes me happy. And I have an album's worth of songs ready to go. It's a narrow finding the time to record, but I really will hope to do it by the end of the year. So we can have an album out by next May, June. Yeah.
Oh, great. Thanks so
No,
much.
thank you.